Hi Toddler parents, it's Michelle again with some more activities for you to try with your children this week. So since Easter's coming up very quickly, I based some of my activities around a few things that you may have laying around your house as you dig out your Easter decorations and baskets for the Easter Bunny to fill if he's able to get out this year. So let's get started. The first activity involves these plastic eggs. I'm hoping that most of you will have these plastic eggs laying around your house. If for some reason you don't have extra plastic eggs left over from last year, you could even hard boil eggs if you wanted to, so that if they drop, it's not going to make a big mess. You could even poke holes on the top and bottom of the eggs and blow the yolk out. That's something that we used to do in my house when we were little before we colored them. And then of course, if they break, there is not the mess with those either. So if you do have the plastic eggs, or if you want to use hard-boiled eggs, if you're feeling brave, want to use real eggs, that's great. But for this activity, we're just going to use the plastic eggs. Now, I have an empty egg carton that I saved that we've used up this week, so you can use this. You could also use a muffin pan if you don't have an empty egg carton, or if you have one of those deviled egg trays, that would work as well. So what you need to do is give one of the containers that I just mentioned, like the egg container, to your toddler with a pair of tongs and a bowl of eggs. Then, very simply, I'll move this so you can see. You're just going to demonstrate for your toddler and then let them practice. Take the egg and just put it right in the carton. If you're going to use the muffin tin, works exactly the same way. You just want to take the eggs, squeeze, and drop them right in, like so. So that's one activity. They can do this over and over again, and it's a great fine motor activity. Works with eye-hand coordination, so that's one activity that you could try this week with your toddler. Another activity, as you get at your Easter decorations or as you're looking around your house, you can create an Easter sensory bowl or a box or a bin. For mine, I just took some Easter grass that we had. We have some more of the plastic eggs. Your toddler can open and close them. Anything that you have laying around that's Easter related, spring related, if you don't celebrate Easter, totally fine. Just use your imagination, anything that your toddler might find really, really interesting. And if you don't have Easter grass, you can also take some rice and put food coloring in it with some water and maybe make it a spring color. Then give them some spoons, some little cups, anything that they can scoop and pour the rice within the bowl is a great idea too. So sensory bins are great. There's a ton of ideas on Pinterest for sensory bins. This one just happened to be Easter themed because I was getting my Easter decorations out and found all this Easter grass and the plastic eggs and things like that. So sensory bins are great. You can really be creative and use your imagination, or again, go online on Pinterest. There's some great idea if you Google toddler sensory bins for Easter. Really, really good ideas on there as well. One idea that I did see, if you take these plastic eggs that I just was showing you and actually put them in the bathtub with your child, let them have a bubble bath with the eggs. They can practice filling the eggs up with water, dumping it out, putting the eggs back together. So that's kind of a different idea of something to do with the plastic eggs. So sensory bin is a great idea. So for a math activity, what I did here, and this is something you can do even if you don't have any Easter decorations laying around, you're just going to take some paper. I happen to have orange paper. If you don't have orange paper, you can certainly color white paper orange. And then what I did is I cut out several triangles, and on each triangle I put a number. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for this activity, depending on what level your child's at, you can go small. You can also do more numbers depending on what they are ready for. Some of our toddlers are going past 10. Some are just starting with 1, 2, and 3. Wherever your toddler's at's perfectly fine. You just have to go based on where they are at. Then what you're going to do is talk to your toddler about how carrots come out of the ground with the green tops. And on our carrots, they're missing their green tops. So what you're going to have your child do is look at the number on the carrot. So this is number 1. So we're going to take green tops, which I have cut out of green construction paper, just tiny little rectangular pieces of paper. Again, you can use white paper and color it green. And the carrot that has the number 1 on it, I'm going to put 1 green top on. For number 2, I'm going to put 2 green tops on. 3, going to have 2, 3. 4, 2, 3, 4. And the last one that I made is number 5. And we will obviously put 5 green tops on. If you have much older siblings and they would like to do this as well, you can go as high as you want. These didn't take very long to cut out, or you can have an older child help cut out the triangles and the rectangles and write the numbers on the carrots for your child. So it's a way to get older children involved as well. So this is a great math activity, great counting activity for your toddlers, and it's kind of fun. I think when we think of Easter, we think of rabbits, and also when we think of spring, we think of rabbits, and rabbits, of course, like to eat carrots. So this is a fun spring activity for your child to try. Now, next I have a language activity for you, and again, I use these plastic eggs. And I apologize if you don't have them at home, but I will show you a different way to do this if you don't have the eggs. So on each of my eggs, I have written a letter. So we have A. Now when we introduce letters to your children, again, we don't say this is A, we say this is A. Ba. S. M. And T. Now, what you're going to do is, if you have these eggs at home and you don't mind writing on them with I used a Sharpie for this so it didn't get rubbed off, I put the letter on both the top half and the bottom half of the egg. And I did that for all of the eggs. Now, when they open up the egg, inside what I have done is I put a picture of something that begins with T or T. So obviously this is a tree. And I also wrote down the letter. Now, if you do not have plastic eggs or you do not want to write on your eggs, totally fine. You can just draw a picture. You can also print off pictures off the computer. I just, to save a little time, just did these quickly. So these are pictures that I have drawn, which you can certainly do, or again, you can print them off. So this is T or T, and then they can match the letter with the picture and put it down. Now, for M or M, I have a mitten and the letter M. For the letter S, I have a snake and the letter S. So we're going to match these up. And for B or B, I have a ball. And the last letter that we start with in toddler, again, is A or A. And I have the letter A and an apple. So once your toddler opens the eggs, if you're using them, and sees what's inside, you can talk to them about what each object is, what the name is, emphasize the beginning sound like ball. One idea that Miss Jocelyn uses in class is she'll say ball, ba. And it's kind of a fun way, almost singing the word and really emphasizing that beginning sound. Now, when they are done with that, they can take their eggs if you're using them. And if they're not using them, they can just do this as a matching activity. But if they're using the eggs, they can find the letters that match the pictures and the letters that you have written out. So obviously for A, we're going to put in the letter A and the apple, and they can put it back in there and then close it. Now this is also a great fine motor skill, just opening and closing these eggs, a little bit tricky for adults sometimes. So this is a great fine motor activity. It kind of extends on the language activity. Now if your eggs come apart, so I'm gonna pull this apart, another activity that they could do with these is to match the letters up. So they have to have them all separated, and then they have to look for the different letters and find the match, and then put the letter and the picture in. And that's a way to extend it as well, by matching the two halves of the eggs correctly. So that's another language activity. Another way to use the plastic Easter eggs, I'll set this out of the way, is to turn it into a sort of a STEM activity. So what we can do with the eggs that you have is have them open them up, and they can stack them. Have your toddler see how high of a stack or a tower they can make. And this is a little bit tricky because as they get higher, you obviously have to balance them. But this is a fun activity. It's kind of a way to use the eggs that really has nothing to do with Easter or the eggs themselves. It just becomes a balancing, stacking activity. They can try to do different things with them and have a lot of fun with them. You can also hide different objects in the eggs for them, similar to an Easter egg hunt, but just hide some random things that they might not expect in the eggs, especially if you're doing a sensory bin. You could have eggs in here that are filled, so when they open them up, they have something even more interesting and something else that's exciting for them to look for in the eggs. So having kind of a little, almost a little egg hunt, a little scavenger hunt, but with some different items filled in the eggs, that's a fun activity as well. A way to extend using these plastic eggs, if you can find them in the grocery store, or if you have them at home. And again, if not, real hard-boiled eggs will work for some of these activities. Even the language activity with the letters, could even hard-boil eggs and just have them match the whole egg, obviously, with a picture. And it's just kind of a different way. It just gives them something else to explore and use, and just a different way to work on their language skills. So the last activity that I have for today actually is not Easter or spring related at all, but if you have a cookie sheet, I have a very well-loved cookie sheet here that I use all the time. And what I did is I took magnets off of our refrigerator and I just put them on here. And your toddlers love exploring with magnets. It's something we do a lot in class. So if you have magnets that you do not mind them playing with and touching, we have them from our veterinarian for our cat and dog. Different trips we take, I have stars with my girls' names on them. So this is just something you could present to your toddler and just let them explore with them. It's kind of neat for them to see that, you know, when they put it on there, it's not going to fall right off. You can talk to them about why they don't fall off, how the magnets are attracted to the cookie sheet. A way to extend this activity is if you have enough magnets at home, you could let them go around the house and see what there are things you might have in the house that the magnet will stick to. Obviously metal, so your refrigerators, maybe dishwashers, stove, depending on what it's made out of. So have them kind of go explore the house with their magnets that you allow them to use, and let them find out and see what magnets will stick to what materials. So that's kind of a fun way to extend this activity, but just having this tray and just letting them play with the magnets sometimes is pretty exciting for them, depending on what you have. So I hope you enjoy these activities. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I continue to miss all of you very much. I hope these activities helped, and I hope to see you all really, really soon. Take care. Bye-bye.